Dear friends, let me start with a question that might sound familiar. Why is it that so many people eat less, exercise more, and yet the number on the scale refuses to move? For decades, doctors and diet programs have repeated the same message. Cut calories, burn more energy, and the weight will come off. But real life proves otherwise. Many people follow calorie-restricted diets. They count every bite. They spend hours on the treadmill. But after a few weeks, the weight creeps back. Or worse, they feel more tired and hungrier than before. This is not just bad luck or poor willpower. It reveals a deeper truth about how our bodies really work. Science today shows us that weight loss is not simply a math problem of calories in versus calories out. While energy balance does play a role, the type of food you eat and the time of day you eat it are far more powerful in deciding whether you burn fat or store fat. In other words, what you eat and when you eat matter more than how much you eat. And the reason comes down to one master hormone, insulin. Insulin is like the gatekeeper of energy. Every time you eat, especially carbohydrates and sugary foods, your pancreas releases insulin to move sugar out of your blood and into your cells. If insulin levels are balanced, your body uses some of that energy immediately and stores a little for later. But when insulin is too high, your body is locked in storage mode. Instead of burning fat, you keep adding to your fat reserves, even if you are eating fewer calories. That is why two people can eat the same amount of calories, but have completely different results depending on their insulin response. Research backs this up strongly. A landmark study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, 2012, compared people on 3 diets: low-fat, low glycemic index, and low carbohydrate. Although calorie intake was kept the same, the low carbohydrate group had a much greater improvement in metabolism and burned more energy at rest. This means that by eating in a way that lowers insulin, their bodies naturally turned into fat-burning machines, even without cutting calories further. Similarly, a Harvard School of Public Health review in 2018 concluded that low carbohydrate and time-restricted eating patterns improve insulin sensitivity and lead to more sustainable weight loss than calorie restriction alone. Think also of people with type 1 diabetes. Before insulin injections were discovered in the 1920s, children with this condition wasted away to skin and bone no matter how much food they ate. Without insulin, their bodies could not absorb energy. On the other hand, people with chronically high insulin, such as in type 2 diabetes, often gain weight rapidly even if they try to eat less. These two extremes show us that insulin, not just calories, is the true regulator of body weight. As we begin this journey, I want you to keep this thought in mind. Controlling insulin may completely change the way you think about weight loss. If you listen carefully, you will see why your past struggles were not your fault, and how a few simple changes in timing, food choice, and daily habits can shift your body from stubborn fat storage to effortless fat burning. For decades, weight loss advice has been simplified to one formula: burn more calories than you eat, and the pounds will melt away. At first glance, this sounds logical, like balancing a checkbook. But when applied to the human body, results often disappoint. Many people who try strict calorie restriction feel exhausted, develop cravings, and eventually regain the weight. Why? Because the body is not just a calculator. It is a living system controlled by powerful hormones, and the most important of these is insulin. Insulin is secreted by the pancreas whenever you eat, especially when the food is rich in carbohydrates or sugar. Its job is to move glucose from your blood into your cells, either to be used immediately for energy or to be stored for later. But insulin does more than that. It acts as a storage hormone, deciding whether your body will burn fat or keep it locked away. When insulin levels are high, your body cannot access fat stores, no matter how few calories you eat. This means that even if you are eating less, your body clings to fat because the gatekeeper, insulin, has closed the door. Science supports this. A study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, 2003, demonstrated that insulin directly suppresses lipolysis, the breakdown of fat. When insulin is elevated, fat cells hold tightly to their energy, preventing weight loss. Another study published in The Lancet Public Health, 2018, followed more than 15,000 adults for over 5 years and found that those following low-carbohydrate diets had significantly better weight outcomes and lower risk of obesity-related diseases, compared to those following low-fat, calorie-restricted diets. The key difference? Lower carbohydrate intake means lower insulin response. Think of this simple example. Imagine 2 people each eating 2,000 calories per day. One person gets most of their calories from bread, pasta, and sugary snacks. The other person gets their calories from vegetables, fish, eggs, and nuts. Even though the calorie count is the same, the first person experiences repeated insulin spikes throughout the day, promoting fat storage. The second person experiences steadier insulin levels, allowing the body to tap into fat reserves for energy. The result is that one may gain weight, while the other loses weight. Despite identical calorie numbers. We can also learn from medical conditions. People with type 1 diabetes, who cannot produce insulin, lose weight rapidly and may even waste away without insulin injections no matter how much they eat. On the other hand, people with chronically high insulin due to insulin resistance often struggle with stubborn belly fat, fatigue, and cravings. These real-life examples highlight insulin's central role. Without it, the body cannot use energy. With too much of it, the body stores fat endlessly. Calories still matter. Of course, no one can eat 20,000 calories a day without consequences. But what matters more is how those calories affect insulin. Calories from refined sugar or white bread are not equal to calories from leafy greens or salmon. One spikes insulin and locks fat away. The other stabilizes insulin and encourages fat burning. So, when thinking about weight loss, the question is not only, how much am I eating, but also, what is this food doing to my insulin? That single shift in perspective can transform frustration into results. Insulin is not the enemy. In fact, without it, life would not be possible. It helps us absorb nutrients, build muscle, and store just enough fat to survive in times of scarcity. The problem arises when insulin is constantly elevated, a state called hyperinsulinemia. In today's world, with abundant food and diets high in refined carbohydrates, many people live with chronically high insulin levels without even realizing it. Over time, this silent imbalance has powerful effects on both weight and overall health. The first and most obvious consequence is fat storage. When insulin is high, it activates a process called lipogenesis, turning excess glucose into fat. At the same time, it blocks lipolysis, the breakdown of fat for energy. In practical terms, this means your body is constantly in storage mode. Instead of burning the fat already sitting on your waistline, it keeps locking more and more energy away. This explains why so many people feel tired, hungry, and unable to lose weight even when cutting calories. The fat is there, but insulin keeps it off. Limits. Scientific studies confirm this. Research in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, 2007, found that participants with high fasting insulin were far more likely to gain weight over time, even when their calorie intake was similar to those with lower insulin levels. Another study from Diabetologia, 2016, tracked over 4,000 people and showed that higher insulin secretion in response to meals strongly predicted long-term weight gain and obesity. In other words, it is not just how much you eat, but how your body responds to that food hormonally. The effects go beyond weight. Chronically high insulin leads to insulin resistance, where your cells stop responding efficiently to the hormone. This creates a vicious cycle. The pancreas pumps out even more insulin to push energy into the cells, which only worsens the resistance. Over time, this contributes to type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, fatty liver disease, and even certain cancers. According to the National Institutes of Health, insulin resistance now affects more than 1/3 of adults in the United States, often silently, long before diabetes is diagnosed. You may also notice symptoms in daily life. People with high insulin often feel hungry soon after eating, especially craving sweets or refined carbs. They may experience fatigue in the afternoon, difficulty concentrating, or stubborn belly fat that refuses to go away. Women may notice irregular cycles or polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, which is closely linked to insulin resistance. Men may experience low energy and increased fat around the abdomen. These are not random problems. They are signals of insulin overload. Consider this comparison. Imagine you have a refrigerator that is already packed full. Every time you eat sugary or starchy food, it is like trying to shove more groceries inside. Insulin is the hand that forces the door closed. The result is food spilling into other places it should not be. Your liver, your arteries, your organs. Over time, this damages the system from the inside out. The lesson is clear. While insulin is essential, too much insulin traps energy and fat, fuels cravings, and paves the way for chronic disease. Controlling insulin is not just about fitting into smaller clothes. It is about protecting your long-term health, energy, and quality of life. One of the most fascinating yet often overlooked aspects of our body's rhythm is something called the dawn effect. This is the natural rise in blood sugar and certain hormones that happens in the early morning hours, usually between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. It is the body's way of preparing us for the day ahead. But while this effect is perfectly normal, it also explains why some people struggle with their blood sugar, weight, and hunger levels first thing in the morning. Here is what happens. As we approach waking, the body releases a cocktail of hormones: cortisol, adrenaline, glucagon, and growth hormone. Each of these has a role in mobilizing energy. Cortisol and glucagon signal the liver to release stored glucose into the bloodstream. Adrenaline increases alertness and mobilizes energy quickly. Growth hormone supports repair and metabolism. Together, these hormones raise blood sugar so that when we wake up, we have enough energy to move, think, and get going, even before eating. But here is the catch. When blood sugar rises, insulin also rises. And this morning insulin spike means that most people are naturally more insulin resistant at this time of day. In other words, the body needs more insulin to handle the same amount of food in the morning compared to later in the day. This explains why eating a heavy carbohydrate-rich breakfast first thing after waking often leads to a bigger blood sugar spike and stronger cravings later. Science has confirmed this. A study published in Diabetes Care, 2013, found that people with type 2 diabetes experienced significantly higher blood sugar after breakfast than after identical meals later in the day, due to the dawn effect. Another study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, 2018, showed that even healthy individuals had reduced insulin sensitivity in the morning compared to the afternoon. This means that the common advice that breakfast is the most important meal of the day may not be true for everyone, especially those trying to control insulin and lose weight. Think about our ancestors. For most of human history, people did not have refrigerators stocked with food. They woke up, went out to gather plants, hunt, or do physical work before eating. The body adapted to this pattern. The dawn effect gave them the energy to move first, then eat later. Today, however, with food available instantly, many people eat as soon as they wake up, and often it is toast, cereal, or pastries. This mismatch between biology and behavior may be one reason why so many struggle with weight and morning fatigue. If you have ever noticed that you feel hungrier mid-morning after eating an early breakfast than when you skip it, you have felt the dawn effect in action. The body was already insulin resistant. The breakfast spiked your blood sugar, insulin rose higher, and then the crash came. By late morning, you are craving more food. The takeaway is simple. The dawn effect is not a flaw. It is an adaptation. But if we understand it, we can use it to our advantage. Delaying breakfast by a couple of hours allows those morning hormones to settle, lowers insulin naturally, and helps the body become more sensitive again. For many people, this small change makes weight loss easier, energy steadier, and cravings less intense. If insulin is the gatekeeper of fat storage and fat burning, then learning how to control it becomes the key to sustainable weight loss and long-term health. The good news is that you do not need extreme diets or expensive supplements. Science shows us that a few simple lifestyle principles can dramatically lower insulin, improve sensitivity, and restore the body's natural ability to burn fat. Let us explore 4 of the most powerful strategies. 1. Delay breakfast by at least 2 hours. The first principle is to take advantage of the dawn effect we discussed earlier. By delaying your first meal, you allow morning hormones like cortisol and adrenaline to settle, which helps insulin levels naturally drop. Many people find that eating their first meal at lunchtime, a form of intermittent fasting, not only reduces cravings, but also supports weight loss. Research supports this. A study in obesity, 2016, found that participants who restricted eating to an 8-hour window, often skipping breakfast, had significantly lower insulin levels and greater fat loss compared to those eating over a 12-hour window, even when calorie intake was the same. Another trial in Cell Metabolism, 2018, showed that time-restricted eating improved insulin sensitivity and blood pressure within just weeks. 2. Prioritize sleep and reduce stress. Poor sleep is like a hidden stress on the body. When you sleep less than 6 hours, cortisol, the stress hormone, can rise 2 to 3 times higher than normal. Cortisol, in turn, raises blood sugar and triggers more insulin. Chronic stress has the same effect. Together, they create a hormonal environment where fat burning shuts down. A Harvard Medical School review highlighted that people who sleep fewer than 7 hours a night are 30% more likely to develop obesity compared to those who sleep well. Similarly, research in the Annals of the New York Academy of Sciences, 2006, showed that chronic stress leads to insulin resistance, making weight control harder. Simply going to bed earlier and practicing relaxation, such as deep breathing or evening walks, can make insulin work more efficiently. 3. Stabilize blood sugar. Through food choices. Food is the most direct way we influence insulin every day. Protein, healthy fats, and fiber-rich vegetables create a steady energy supply without large spikes. In contrast, sugar, refined flour, and processed foods send blood sugar soaring, followed by sharp crashes, which make us hungrier and keep insulin elevated. The American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, 2015, published a study showing that diets high in refined carbohydrates led to more hunger and higher calorie intake, even when meals were calorie-matched to those higher in protein and fat. In contrast, meals rich in protein and vegetables stabilized blood sugar and reduced cravings. Adding foods like eggs, fish, avocados, leafy greens, and beans can keep insulin balanced and energy steady throughout the day. 4. Use coffee wisely. Coffee is one of the most misunderstood drinks when it comes to insulin. On its own, black coffee does not cause fat gain. The concern arises when it is consumed with sugary breakfasts or when insulin resistance is already high in the morning. Caffeine acts a bit like adrenaline. It raises alertness, but can also nudge insulin slightly higher if combined with carbs. A study in Diabetes Care, 2004, found that caffeine intake before a carbohydrate-rich meal caused higher blood sugar and insulin spikes in people with type 2 diabetes. But the effect was much smaller in healthy individuals. The takeaway? If you are insulin resistant, it may help to wait 60–90 minutes after waking to enjoy your coffee, preferably without sugar or cream. In that context, coffee can even support metabolism by increasing energy use. In summary, delay breakfast to let insulin drop. Sleep well and reduce stress to keep hormones balanced. Choose foods that stabilize blood sugar. Enjoy coffee at the right time and in the right form. By following these 4 principles, you are not just controlling insulin, you are giving your body the conditions it needs to naturally burn fat, reduce cravings, and protect long-term health. Dear friends, by now you can see that weight control and metabolic health are not just about counting calories. They are about managing the hormone that truly governs whether your body burns energy or stores it, insulin. From the Petri dish, experiments showing fat cells swelling only in the presence of insulin, to the harsh reality of type 1 diabetes, where the absence of insulin leads to starvation, the evidence is undeniable. Insulin is the master switch, and if we keep it balanced, our bodies have an incredible ability to heal, burn fat, and thrive. We have also seen the dark side of excess insulin. When it is high all the time, it locks fat away, fuels cravings, and sets the stage for insulin resistance, a condition that now affects 1 in 3 adults in the United States, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, 2020. Insulin resistance is not just about weight gain, it is one of the leading risk factors for type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, fatty liver, and even cognitive decline. By controlling insulin, we are not simply chasing a smaller waistline. We are protecting the heart, the brain, and the future of our health. The Dawn Effect reminds us that our bodies are designed with ancient wisdom. Morning hormones prepare us to move first and eat later. Instead of fighting this rhythm, we can work with it by delaying breakfast and giving insulin time to settle. Studies, such as those published in Cell Metabolism, 2018, confirm that time-restricted eating improves insulin sensitivity, lowers inflammation, and supports weight management, even without calorie counting. It is a reminder that when we align with our biology, health feels more effortless. The 4 principles we explored are not fads. They are supported by science and simple to apply. Delay breakfast and embrace natural fasting rhythms. Sleep deeply and manage stress to lower cortisol and insulin. Choose real foods, proteins, healthy fats, and vegetables. To stabilize blood sugar. Enjoy coffee wisely, without sugar, and at the right time. These habits do not require expensive supplements, exotic superfoods, or punishing exercise. They simply require awareness and consistency. The body is resilient. Even if insulin has been out of balance for years, research shows that improvements can happen quickly. For example, a study in the Lancet Diabetes and Endocrinology, 2014, demonstrated that improving diet quality and practicing fasting can reduce insulin resistance within just a few weeks. Imagine how your body could transform in months or years with steady practice. What does this mean for you today? It means you are not powerless. If you have tried and failed at dieting, it was not because you were weak. It was because the advice you received did not address the true key. Insulin. By shifting your focus, by respecting your body's natural rhythms, you can finally break the cycle of hunger, fatigue, and stubborn weight. Friends, there are no shortcuts to lasting health, but there are smarter paths. Begin with one change, perhaps delaying breakfast or making sleep a priority, and watch as your energy rises, your cravings fade, and your body starts working with you instead of against you. If this message resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay connected with Nutigood HealthBook. Together, we will continue to uncover the science of healthy living and share practical steps to help you live stronger, longer, and healthier. Your journey begins today, and your body will thank you tomorrow.